Hello, I wanted to take a few minutes to walk you through the new version of the SLS1101 class. This is the textbook free version. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the new schedule of activities, and we'll get to that in just one moment. But for the time being, I want to have a look at the blue menu bar and start at the top and just work our way down. Starting with instructor start here, this is a link provided by Virtual Campus, so it's pretty standard and there's not a ton of content in here, but do have a look at the link for any extra information. And let's go ahead and move on to the next link, which is provided directly from us. This is the instructor resources link. This is still a work in progress. I'll be building this throughout the academic year. And if you have any examples of anything specific you'd like to see included inside of this folder, please email me any suggestions. I'll also send out a form at some point to get more information from you as well. But inside of this folder is a folder for course documents. These are blank versions of your schedule of activities and your face-to-face syllabus. This folder is more information about FTIC students, how to identify who they are, and best practices for communicating with the FTIC students, including links to Google Voice. This folder contains all the job aids for Workday, so things like verifying attendance and issuing final grades or grade changes. All of those job aids can be found inside of this folder. This folder is a link to other OER textbooks. There are 3 different full textbooks entirely free for you to have a look at. Any of the information in that textbook you can use and distribute for free. So if you're looking for more content to cover in class or more content to add to presentations or even activities, have a look inside of this folder here for additional information to present to the class. One of the OER resources is called Lumen, and they have a pretty nice collection of activities. The only thing is you have to sign up to gain access to those activities. So if you want to check those out for something else to do in class, follow the directions inside of this folder and it'll bring you to that website. This folder contains more information for the PERTS research study, and this folder will eventually contain more information, for example, assignment feedback for the 15 various SLS1101 assignments. You can use those or modify them as you'd like, but that one's still a work in progress. This is new for the OER face-to-face version of the class. The last couple of years, students had to complete the Start Here module in order to gain access to their content. That's really an online policy of the college and not so much widely used in face-to-face classes, so I did disable that feature for our face-to-face classes. And because I disabled that requirement, I also hid the Start Here folder from students. If you liked the Start Here process and you want students to go through that module, you can select here to show the link and they'll have access to that Start Here module, but it still will not be required for them to gain access to the content in our face-to-face classes. I also disabled the tool for course messages. For me, I don't check my course messages very often, so if a student emails me there, it might be 2 or 3 days before I even realize I received the email. So I disabled that option. If you like that option, again, just select it and show the link and students can use that tool for your classes. I personally have my students either email me or text me on my Google Voice number. That way I get it more quickly than waiting for a course message. These are student links for the syllabus and the schedule of activities. For you to upload your syllabus and schedule of activities, you'll need to go back to the Start Here module where the students can't see that module. On the syllabus, you would go to Edit and you will select the file to replace here. So whatever your final syllabus is, select that different file, rename this syllabus again, select Submit. And that's how you'll upload your syllabus just like before. Same is true for the schedule of activities. To upload your schedule of activities, select here, edit. Once you have your finalized version of the schedule of activities with the due dates included, you'll browse your computer for that file and you will submit that one for your schedule of activities, and then students will access those 2 files using the links over here on the left, but that's just like previous semesters. The schedule of activities no longer includes instructor information, so you'll need to click instructor information and create a contact for yourself. Include your first name, last name, email, and a best contact number to be reached at if you'd like to include that. That all goes in instructor information. Last one before we get into the content is institutional resources. Again, this is provided by Virtual Campus and this has not changed. Okay, let's have a look at the content for the textbook free version of the course. Let's get into Module 1. We'll compare what we have inside of the class to the schedule of activities on the left. Let's go ahead and get into the study activities. The first big change you'll notice is that the study activities are now broken up into 3 parts, and that's consistent across the class. So the structure is Part 1 has 3 study activities, and that goes with their first assignment. Part 2 has another 3 study activities, that goes with their second assignment, and then so on for Part 3, 3 study activities, and then 1 assignment. So that is consistent throughout the entire course. You can see that through our schedule of activities. So now it is more specific regarding what specific study activities go to which specific assignment. Previously, there was just a list of 8 or 9 study activities, and then at the bottom there were 3 assignments, and there was a disconnect between which one students needed to complete in what order. That is no longer the case. Now they are broken up appropriately. So let's get into Part 1 then. Part 1 will contain their first 3 study activities. Another consistent pattern of the class is the delivery of the study activities. The first study activity is usually an OER reading the students will download here. The second one is usually a presentation, and the last one is a video. Both of the presentations and the videos both have pop-up questions that students will see inside their quizzes. For example, this here is the first pop-up question of the presentation. This is the second. Students gain the answers by going through the information in between pop-up questions. And the same is true for the videos. The pop-up questions are here, and those are the questions the students should be answering along the way in order to prepare for their module quizzes. On the videos, students can hypothetically skip through the video and get right to the question. There is a setting that I can change that will make students watch the entire video and they can't fast forward through, but if that's true for the students, it's true for the instructors as well. So before I make that change in the future, I want to make sure everybody's had time to scan through the videos on their own. Otherwise, you have to watch the entire video to get through to the questions. Let's have a look at the OER readings. So in the past, the readings had been long chapters between 20-25 pages. Students had to read or were encouraged to read kind of all in bulk. There wasn't a lot of chapters that were broken down into smaller chunks, but that is not the case with the OERs. And one more thing to point out is that even the OERs have 2 questions the student should be focusing on that will be on their corresponding quizzes. So every study activity has 2 quiz questions embedded in it, and then all of the study activities throughout the module then are just assessed on the quiz at the end of the module. But just to break that down one more time, there's 2 quiz questions here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, all the way through these study activities. Each one has 2 quiz questions, and the students see those again on their module quizzes. So they should be studying and taking notes along the way so they know what's going to be on those quizzes. Getting back into the specific OER content reading then, let's have a look at the first one, M1S1, which is Passion. This one is actually a shorter one. You can see that popped up here on my window, and most of the OERs have some sort of interaction that students can complete throughout them as well. How long do you anticipate being in college? They can type in here directly and then save their answers at the end for their own study purposes. It's not turned into an instructor, but it's just a way of students to interact with their reading. The content is here. There's more interactions here the students can take part on a scale from 1 to 5, being not important to very important. How much is each one of these for you? So enjoying time alone, 5, getting out in nature, 5, working on your job, 5, looking good, maybe a 4, maybe a 3. So students again can interact with their reading as they go, and it's not turned in, but the students can save this and it'll be work sort of like their notes. If students complete this inside of Adobe Acrobat, they can highlight their text as well, but that's not available inside of my web browser here. So scrolling down, and then it also usually wraps up with some sort of reflection on the very end also. So these are also activities that you could do in class, true or false questions, and then that note to students to try to save their work here at the end so that they have all of their answers saved for their own personal reflection. And that is the first part of Module 1. You can scan through this later. All of the module study activities also have optional links for students to do more exploration. So if they want to find out more information, they can click here, and that will bring them to other links throughout the class for more information along the way. Down here as well, there's links for getting their student ID, how to activate their Rivermail account, get a parking decal, and get familiar with Blackboard. So those are also embedded throughout the course pretty consistently also. At the end of the part, it will remind students that now it's time to take their first assignment, M1A1, the semester calendar. It won't automatically redirect them to that assignment, so they do need to go back to their assessments folder and open up the first assignment, M1A1. I'm back in their Module 1 folder now, so I'm going to the assessments to see that first assessment. Only 2 of the assignments have changed pretty drastically, and M1A1 is one of those assignments. This one's pretty brand new. It is a calendar assignment where students input their due dates, the main dates from the college calendar, and then events that are happening on the student calendar as well. So read through the assignment for more information on that. Each assignment has a new rubric and a help video for every single assignment. So again, if you're unsure of directions on the assignments, have a look at the help video as well. It might give you some insight as far as what we're looking for on the student responses there also. But have a look, this is M1A1, the semester calendar. We'll move kind of quickly through part 2 of module 1. We just ran through part 1. This is part 2, just to show you the similarity and the structure style. Here is the OER. It's the first one. These are the 2 corresponding questions students are going to want to focus on for their quiz. Here is the presentation, again with all these links embedded in to redirect students for optional links. This is quiz question also. This is also a quiz question. And then lastly is the Angela Duckworth video on grit. This one comes from the previous version of the class with the questions built in as well. So again, it follows that same structure as part 1. At the end it says, now it's time for your second assignment, M1A2, preparing for a challenging class, and that will redirect students to the next assignment. Let's scroll back up and just have a look at the OER reading from this part. This is the Evolution to College, just to get an idea of what the reading expectation is. Again, it has those interactive questions to begin with. These can be done in class if you'd like. Then we have the typical content reading, an external link here to a video for students to watch, more interactive functionality here towards the end, and this one again is about 5 pages long. So for the most part, the readings are between 5, on the longer side 10 pages, and that's what can be expected on the week-to-week segments for each of the parts for the modules. Part 3 of Module 1 will finish up in similar fashions to Parts 1, 2, and 2. These are the study activities for Part 3. Let's go ahead and have a look briefly. Emotional intelligence is the OER reading with the 2 included questions. Professional skills is the presentation, again with these 2 included questions. And then growth mindset, another video that rolled over from the last version of the class. And again, these will also have those pop-up questions as students go also. And then now that they've answered all of the questions, they're ready for their Module 1 quiz. So the Module 1 quiz is 20 total questions. 18 of those come from answering those 2 questions per study activity throughout the module, and the last 2 are reflection questions on the module as a whole. So that's Module 1 of the OER version of the class, and the patterns that are prevalent in Module 1 will also be true in Modules 2, 3, 4, and 5 as well. So we'll briefly go through those and then wrap up the video. I'm into Module 2 now. Again, we'll have a look at the study activities. Of course, they're broken into thirds, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Just getting into Part 1 briefly, there's your OER content. Here is your presentation with the pop-up questions. Here is your priorities video, again a rollover from the previous version of the class, and then it brings them into M2A1. The assignments have changed a little bit, so you do want to just refamiliarize yourself with the assignments, even though the majority of them should look familiar. For example, M2A1 is very similar to what used to be the Module 2 discussion board question. It's no longer a discussion. Let's have a look at it briefly. It's M2A1 values, priorities, and goals alignment. It's asking them pretty much the same skills that used to be on the discussion, but it's just no longer a discussion. They'll submit it in directly for credit like they would any other assignment. But read through the directions here so you're familiar with it. M2A2 is now the time tracking assignment. They'll track their time for 5 days now. Have a look at the links. Those have been updated slightly as well. There's now a part for them to estimate how long they think they'll spend on each of the categories. And there's also a new part that links how they spent their time to their values they identified earlier in the semester. So do have a look at it. They should look similar but slightly different. If you have any questions, definitely reach out. Modules 1, 2, 3, and 4 all end with a quiz. This is the Module 2 quiz, and again, that's just assessing their completion of all of the 9 study activities from Module 2. Just like Module 1, each of those study activities has 2 quiz questions representing that study activity. So altogether, there's 18 from the study activity, and then those 2 short answer questions reflecting on the module. Getting into Module 3 now, it should look familiar. 3 different parts, and the study activities will have 3 in each part as well. OER content reading, optional exploration here for the students. Here is the presentation with the pop-up questions, and then this here is another rollover video from the previous version of the class, only this one does have the pop-up questions so students can help prepare for their corresponding quiz. M3A1 is the second assignment that is drastically different from the last version of the class. Just to point those out, M3A1 is significantly different than anything in the previous version of the class, and the other assignment that is like that is the very first one, which is M1A1. Both of those, for the most part, are brand new assignments. This second assignment replaces what used to be the CARS assessment. Students can still focus on information literacy for this assignment, but they can also do research on a different study activity like note-taking, test-taking strategies, reading strategies, or something like information literacy. Here is that assignment in Module 3, M3A1, so read through this, check out the template, get familiar with the expectations from the students, and if you have any questions, reach out and ask. Back in Module 3, Part 2 for the study activities has the OER content. The presentation here is on presentations, and then here is the information literacy video. So this was made by our librarians, and this replaces anything involving the CARS. There was no OER content on the CARS, so this one goes with radar from our library. So have a look at this, and again, students can choose to do their assignment on information literacy or any of the other options throughout the module as well. That brings us to our second assignment from Module 3, M3A2, which is a discussion board forum. The other discussion in the class is M1A2, but they're each a little bit different from our previous discussion. So let's have a look at those briefly. I'm in the assessments folder from Module 3. This is Module 3 Assignment 2, Discussion Forum. This is an assignment from the previous version of the class, but students will submit it a new way. The assignment is the academic success plan. This is the assignment where students pick an upcoming project or exam and then put a schedule in place to prepare for it. So that part of the assignment is the exact same as the previous version of the class. The new part is how students submit that assignment. So they actually submit their assignment to an online discussion board so that other students can go through and see how they're preparing for their classes. So say if 2 students are both taking ENC1101 and they both have an exam coming up, they can use each other's resources they find and their strategies that they implement to help each other out. So it's kind of like creating an online study group if students take the time to actually go through and do the reading and do the work. But the information is here. M3A2 is like that, and M1A2 is pretty much the exact same thing. I'm back in the Module 1 assessments folder here. This is the discussion from Module 1, and it's very similar. This is an old assignment preparing for a challenging course, but again, it's submitted a new way where students upload their work to a discussion board so other students can see it. And again, the target here is if they're taking the same classes, they can help each other out by looking at how the other students are preparing for that class and sharing help resources they find for the class as well. So there's still 2 online discussions. However, they're just different assignments now, but they're really old assignments just presented new ways. So have a look at those directions. Modules 4 and 5 follow pretty similar structures to the previous modules in the class. Module 4 especially, it has the 3 study activities, and then here's the problem solving assignment. We're familiar with that one. 3 more study activities, and then the self-portrait assignment. We're familiar with that one, although it has changed a little bit, so be sure to check the directions on the self-portrait assignment. It's now aligned to what I could find on the OER resources for SLS 1101. And then, of course, 3 more study activities, and this is their final quiz of the class. Module 5 does not have a quiz. It's replaced by the career project. Let's get into Module 5 because even though it is formatted similarly to the other modules, Module 5 is all OER content reading. So let's have a look at Module 5, get into the study activities. Because the career component of this class is so individualized, student to student, I didn't focus much time on the presentations or the videos and instead just allowed them to do their own research. So the professional skills building, this is an OER reading, but it has options for the students to do their own research to find out more about their specific career as well. So this is the part of the class where students really go off on their own tangents to begin their own search for their careers. And so it's hard to generalize that information and put it into the class. So what I did instead was make the OERs about what they should be researching on as they're doing their own research. Things like the big picture, the college major that matches that big picture. And here is their first assignment for Module 5, M5A1. That is true for Part 2 and Part 3 of Module 5 also. Be sure to have a look at M5A2. This used to be the second discussion of the class. It's no longer a discussion, and that one has changed slightly also, so have a look. Part 1 and Part 2 are really now more focused on getting the students to begin the process of their career project. So it's almost like constructing a rough draft version of different elements of their career project. So it's similar but a little bit different than the previous Module 5. Have a look and reach out with any questions. Then, of course, the class finishes up with the Module 5 career presentation. Information for the career project can be found directly inside of the class. There's a help video for this assignment as well. And notice that every assignment does have that corresponding help video, and then it does have a new corresponding rubric also. So have a look at the rubrics, read through everything. Here is the career project, and then once students submit their career project, they've completed the course. If you have any questions, be sure to ask. I just want to show you the Grade Center before we wrap up here. And one last component. The very last row is where you'll find your extra credit column. Be sure to keep extra credit less than 25 points per semester. This is the hidden column from the Start Here module, which is no longer in the class, so students will not see that. And otherwise, that's pretty much it for the new version of the class. I hope you enjoy it, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.